Nicole, it's an honor to have you back. Forgive us for being late in getting to you today. I have a story to share with you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The reason we were late to the stream this morning is I got a call from a well-known Democrat. And this well-known Democrat's like, hey, I can't believe we're like even having a conversation here, but like, listen, I want to lower the temperature.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of my side calling everyone Nazi and fascist. And I'm sorry that happened. And I'm sorry what happened to your friend. And I like want to work with you to just have like a country where we can agree on most things and disagree on some things and like have a nice robust debate. But like I'm going to fight with you to like ensure that the dehumanization that's happening on the left of the right, that like ceases. He actually called this Democrat called out Gavin Newsom of all people, calling Stephen Miller a fascist this morning or yesterday. And I was like, man, well, that is a incredibly uplifting thing that has happened, and sort of in the vein of like what Nicole and RFK Jr. and Tulsi have been doing, actually. It's trying to like reduce the pressure cooker here. So
yeah.
anyway.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I just have to say thanks to Brad McCraw. I'm just going to go back a little bit because I thought that was Susie Wiles orchestrating that moment with President Trump. And since Charlie passed, I've realized it's really Charlie and his team that have orchestrated all of this. Connected with people and doing the things and probably even, influencing that call from this Democrat leader that wants to tone things down. Charlie is so alive in this moment right now and has unveiled so much about the last year and a half of my life that I didn't even know about.
Yes. I mean, you were the first one, if I'm remembering correctly, you were the first one who went out on a podcast and said, actually, it might be the time to do this. It's live on screen right now. Again, it's Things of Legend.
Yeah.
And, maybe perhaps you could tell me from your perspective, since you were RFK Jr.'s running mate, like, how did this all come down?
So that was not planned. I didn't get an official sign off from the campaign to go out and have that conversation. I did talk to Bobby in advance and say, hey, I'm going to try to provide some cover and start to subtly notify people this might be coming down the pike. I did not expect that podcast I did to go as viral as it did. It went
really viral.
It went really viral. And I got a little bit of flack for it from the powers within the campaign. But in the end, I think it was the right thing to do because it notified groups like Charlie what was coming. And that we were coming. And it was a whole movement of people that was coming towards the movement Charlie had so beautifully built. And so in the end, it all worked out. And none of this was scripted. None of this was planned. And there were definitely high moments of tension and friction going into it. Tons of unknowns, so much fear that, are of potentially getting this wrong. And now I realize Brad was in the background with Charlie, making sure this was going to go great. It was going to be a magnanimous history-making moment. And when I threw out those things, it really just was off the cuff. And it worked out. Thank God for that. Thank Charlie, thank this movement, thank all of the MAHA supporters for having faith, thanks for MAGA for welcoming us in. And, thank you so much to Charlie's Life and Legacy and Erica Kirk for this moment as well. Her strength is carrying all of us forward.
Can you please talk about President Trump, who, in noting the political successes of Charlie Kirk, which are many, but Trump only seized really one. Trump, he could have gone down a list of like all the things Charlie did, but instead he's like, you ever heard of MAHA? Like Charlie Kirk put me and RFK Jr. together, and Trump saw that as like the sort of iconoclast moment of Charlie, and it's really neat because you were like central to that. It's really very cool.
There was so much faith that went into each of these moments. And what President Trump did last week in his announcement for autism is what all of the MAHA moms have been waiting for, is that boldness and courage of truth, which really is a cultural thing, I'm realizing. And you opened by saying you're stuck in California where the culture is so backwards. And it is very backwards here because it's a culture of fear, compliance, and just go along to get along. And we can't continue to live like that, because we are suffering. Our children are suffering because of that culture. And I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. I am the child of an immigrant. And we have a situation right now in California where we have a lot of immigrants that are just staying silent out of fear, because they come from countries where that's how you survive. You die if you speak up in some of these countries. My mom's from communist China. You died if you spoke up. Millions of people died. And we're in California now, where we really have to look ourselves in the mirror as children of immigrants. And we have to remember the preciousness of this country that is built on people like Charlie who, in the face of tyranny, in the face of lies, in the face of corruption, will speak the truth, knowing that there is a risk in doing so, but knowing that we will not survive as a nation unless we do so. And MAHA is that now in the health world, because there's corruption and tyranny, and we're speaking up.
Oh, that's such a beautiful answer, Nicole. It's just so impactful. There are two places I want to go, and choose your own adventure. But I guess, why don't we start with MAHA, and then we'll jump over to California. So can you give me, because again, you and RFK, I just don't think anyone ever planned. I saw all the haters online. It'll never happen. The moment you said that on the podcast, oh, it'll never happen. Give me a break. She didn't know what she's talking about. Okay. You had so much hate from right and left. And then Trump and RFK Jr., they unite on stage. And you go out and you start talking and vision casting for MAHA. And everyone's like, Trump's going to betray RFK. He'll never get HHS. Give me a break. Right. Like, are you kidding me? Right. It was all a joke. No, it wasn't. And RFK is actually in there delivering. We track all this data, Nicole. Delivering the number one most viral moment of any of any of the Senate's confirmation hearings was RFK calling out Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren for their big pharma donations. That was the number one. That was the single most viewed event of any of the confirmation hearings. Was RFK going scorched earth, ripping the mask off, ripping the bark off those two. It's beautiful. And then, of course, there's been a lot of, like, so many successes, it's hard to really enumerate all of them. So there's a long question, but I guess give me your redux on how MAHA has been achieving, how it's been going. You must be very happy.
I can't be happier. I don't know if you heard, but Trump spoke off the cuff. And as you well pointed out earlier, you can't script Donald Trump. Donald Trump feels the moment. He has this killer intuition about the moment and what and bringing forward these things that are controversial. And is it the right time? Is my base with me? And so for him to go off script at that press conference last week and say, I'm just going to talk about vaccines. You all talk about Tylenol. That's good. Well published, well understood by the science. But now's the time to talk about vaccines. And now's the time to show that I, as the president of the most powerful nation in the country, am behind Bobby Kennedy. And this is an unshakable bond. And he cemented that in that moment. And I believe that the base was a little nervous in the first 6 months. They wanted more quickly. The base of MAHA is some of the most well-educated scientists that have been censored for well over a decade, that have been dedicating their entire lives, their livelihoods. They have lost their licenses. They have lost everything. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's out there whining about being taken off air for a dismal show with terrible ratings. Talk about these doctors. These doctors are still getting fired. They're still getting censored. They are going into horrendous debt to speak the truth. The amount of tyranny in the medical world is through the roof. And for the first time, since the coming together of Bobby and Trump last year, but there was a little dying off of the MAHA movement. People are getting frustrated. Even myself, I was looking around. I was like, we have to address this in the private sector. So that's where I've been the last 6 months, is privately funding research that I was worried that maybe wouldn't make it through this administration. But last week it was kind of like, I could exhale a little bit.
Do you view that as the biggest accomplishment? I know it's like a tough question, but what is like since you were so critical to this movement being formed, what is your favorite accomplishment, if you may?
We're not even a year in, but Trump's tweet where he outlines we're going to separate the MMR into different shots. I've been calling for this for years now, and doctors have been calling for this. And the moms who are in the know, who get their vaccines from Europe or Japan, they're all in the know. I mean, we're behind America because of our corruption in media and our corruption in the healthcare sector and our doctors being corrupted and getting paid off for giving us substandard vaccines. The American people are so far behind, for example, Japan, which has already separated out the MMR. So everything that's being done is, it's past due by probably a generation. And we're just catching up to what the people in the know have already been practicing, which is a safer vaccine schedule. I think that's huge. And this administration, the left is like, this is so radical. It is the most conservative, kind of slow moving rollout of the obvious. But we're so just happy to see it, because it just gives us faith that there might actually be a path out of this entrenched corruption.
I just wanted to give you a moment to sound off, because obviously you care so much about the welfare of children. You care so much about the future of children in this country. This is where I got white pilled on MAHA. And my wife's obviously a nurse, and she cares about this stuff a lot. But I saw it in real time. My kids went out for ice cream, and they ate this like horrible. They ate this like neon ice cream, a Cookie Monster, neon, like all this chemical blue and 40.
Yeah, why
50,
does that blue taste better? I don't know.
It tastes like petroleum to me, but like whatever. And my kids went like berserker mode. Like they actually it was like their brain chemistry was changing.
Yeah.
Like they were real, like that stuff really affected them. And we run a pretty clean operation in my household, and all natural. And I'm like thinking about these kids that are like pumped full of these food dyes and these like toxins, and I'm like the move that's been made to everything from taking the additives out of Skittles to like these massive corporations like saying we're not going to be doing this anymore. We're not going to be adding these like food dyes. Something that's already happened around the world, but we are like somehow so behind it. Americans. It meant a lot to me as a parent, man. As somebody who doesn't consider myself an expert on this stuff, but has seen the real world effect on my own children.
Oh, there's a real world effect going on everywhere. There's a frozen tallow French fry company that my fiance, soon to be husband, invested in, that's like doing 15x. There's a new mac and cheese, like box mac and cheese company that's going to be using raw dairy. This is really exciting. I mean, we're this is the stuff that matters, is being able to go to your kitchen and grab that box of mac and cheese and know that you're not poisoning your kids. I mean, it's low, this is the obvious standard, but we're coming from such a low standard of excellence in terms of nutrition in the United States that there's so much economic opportunity on the other side of this too. So it's just excitement across the board.
Could you just really quickly vision cast for where you want it to go? Where would you like to see us after 4 years of RFK Jr. as HHS Secretary?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank the Kirk family and Charlie Kirk again, because where I want this to go is I want that energy to be the energy that continues to evolve us as a team. None of this would be possible unless we were working together as a team, because that kind of truth telling and courage allows us to truth tell and be courageous when we're up against these massive roadblocks every single day. These vaccine mandates really is what I think is next, is tackling those. California has broken off from the federal government, wants to start its own California HHS. And there's, I think the majority of Californians are terrified of that. And I'm talking outside of my own circle. I mean, this is, I'm crossing the chasm. It's very easy for me to hear what the other side is saying. And the other side doesn't even like that. There's constitutionalists that are like, this is unconstitutional. What does this even mean? People want freedom. They don't want this medical tyranny, and California is going to have a reckoning that I think we need the team to show up for. I want us to figure out how to win this battle the right way, the sustainable way, the way that really does bring everybody along with us. And that was the legacy of Charlie Kirk, is he wanted to win the right way, and he did, and he showed us what it looks like.
So winning in the right way is something that's fascinating happening in California. So we've gone, so we've taken, let's go from national to where you live in California. I know you're like you love your home state.
I do.
It is the crown jewel of America. It sucks saying that from Florida, because I really like Florida. But like there's the natural gifts of California, the beauty of it. I mean, it really is like the Gold Coast. It is quite the paradise. And it's been just utterly destroyed. And everyone knows this. It's been just decimated. There's been a purge of the voter rolls. There's been some cleaning up from the federal level forced upon California. And there seems to be like potentially like a writing of the tables in the state. Can you give us kind of like an over under on saving California? I know this is a passion project for you.
Yeah. So a few things to note here. Thank you for sharing this poll for governor. Governor's one piece of it. The thing that I'm most excited about, and, I had that failed Karen Bass recall when Rick Cruiser came out against it. It kind of, the whole thing just imploded because we weren't expecting Rick Cruiser to come out against the recall. And so there's definitely something going on there. I think Rick Caruso is very deep trying to negotiate something with the Democratic Party right now. So we might see a surprise in the governor poll and, over the next 5 months there. I don't want to call it yet, but I know there's something going on with Rick Caruso and the Democratic Party. So, the recall failed. I had put in quite a bit of money into that. I helped get the team going. And so when that failed, I'm like, okay, well, now what is our next big move here? Because initially it was let's recall, let's get the communists out of LA. There's enough will to do that. And then that's going to snowball into us getting the communists out of the governor's office. And these are self-professed Marxists. And we just have been through this before in the 70s and the 60s. We said the Marxists shall not have the Democratic Party. And that's when the Kennedys came in and saved us from that. So we're kind of in a similar situation right now. And where I'm putting my efforts is on the voter ID initiative. We do know that there's an enormous number of undocumented individuals that are casting votes in our California election. That's a problem, especially when you know that behind that are Mexican cartels that are getting paid and they're kind of working with the California government to ensure this endless amount of migration, undocumented migration. So voter ID is where I'm going to be focused. I think this is going to be a really important one. 70% of Californians want it. We're going to get it on the ballot. There's a signature requirement. Luckily, I know a little bit about that. And I think we're going to be very successful.
Okay. So how many signatures are required to get a voter ID in California?
I think we've got to do about 1 million just to make sure we clear the requirement.
What about us? We were just able to register thousands of young voters at a game this weekend at Penn State. We're able to have thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at Turning Point events. We should do like a big event, right? You should bring in like Scott Pressler.
Let's do it, Benny. Come on over to California.
Yeah. We should do like a huge event, and we can like organize in like a smart area, right? I don't know if it's Huntington Beach or if it's somewhere up north. But organize in a smart area and get signatures. Like get a bunch of Californians, bring in like Don and Eric, and I'll come over and I'll hype it like crazy and do like a massive event. Have Scott Pressler out there registering voters, right? And like, and bring in like and have Steve Hilton and yourself, of course, at like headline and keynote, and then we can use that as an opportunity to get signatures, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Let's do it. We're gonna start signature collection, I believe, within the next 4 or 5 months. But I'll be posting about it on my X. Okay. Benny, let's talk. Let's make this happen.
Totally. Bring in JD, bring in people who like have like good, strong connections to California. I was born in California, right? Like, yeah. So like, but I hate to see it. I hate to see what's happening. I was raised in Iowa. My parents moved quickly after the Rodney King riots in LA, something that seems to happen every couple of years. LA just burns to the ground. But they were like, we're not gonna raise our kids right in a city with sectarian violence that's like on fire, and so they fled. They fled to Iowa. About the opposite of the literal polar opposite of California. But anyway, the point is that like every American's heart should be in this beautiful state, this state filled with God's wonders, and we should all want to save California. So that'd be great. I would love a very large
economy, and it's very powerful, and it's very powerful in culture setting. And if you can get Californians to show up and be courageous and speak freely, and not, there's people are concerned about losing their jobs. People are concerned about their kids getting kicked out of schools, and people are desperate. People are and Steve Hilton will tell you this. He's touring the state right now, and he said people are just barely getting by here, just emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's a really tough place right now, and we have to remind people it doesn't have to be that way.
Let's do it. Let's bring in the owner of In-N-Out Burger. Let's hit him right in the heart. In California. Let's do it.
Everybody loves In-N-Out here.
That's right. Let's hit him right in the heart, right? And she's based, okay? She's based.
Very cool.
Let's do that. Don't tell RFK that we'll be bringing in fast food, please. But yeah, totally. Like we do like a big, and we can get the first 100,000 signatures, boom, in one day. We could like scare the daylights out of them.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Amazing.
I'm in.
When is this? So like early 2026.
Yep, early 2026.
Okay.
It's go time.
Great. Plan on it. All right. Fantastic. I love doing it. I was going to call you afterwards and like chat with you about this, but let's just do it. Why not do it live on the stream? Yep. Why not do it live on the stream? Okay. Very exciting. Thank you, Nicole. It is so encouraging. It is so encouraging to talk with you. It's so wonderful. I'll leave you with the final word, given the fact that you just brought up change in California. Our friend is Stephen Miller. He's a really decent homie. He's a good guy. He has it in his heart to like just protect his country and protect his children, his beautiful family. And the governor keeps posting, like doing the same thing that they were doing to Charlie, right? And like Stephen Miller even commented, "Why do you think they're posting this? Like he's a fascist. He's a fascist." And they keep tripling and doubling down. Everyone knows what they're doing here, right? What's your comment on this? What's your take?
So there's the Gavin Newsom, and then there's the machine behind Gavin Newsom. And you got to see a little bit of the human Gavin Newsom, what's left of him, when he spoke with Charlie Kirk. And he said, I don't actually think women should, or men should play in women's sports. And, the left went insane because the machine does not want Newsom to say these things. So we got to pray for Newsom. We got to pray for what's left of Newsom's soul. Because, Newsom, the human being, or what he was or could have been, is not this. This is the machine. And this is a Marxist machine. And at the heart of that Marxist machine is it's a darkness that's discussed in the Bible. It is a biblical kind of darkness. And we got to pray for him to break free of this. Because the last thing Satan wants is for, his imps to break free. But it takes courage to break free. I want to believe in the spirit of his spirit to break free of this. This is BS. This is dangerous. This is evil. And this is a call for the faction to assassinate Stephen Miller. There's no doubt in my mind that's what this is.
Wow.
And this needs to end now.
Wow. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Precisely what a household name Democrat who called me this morning, trying to be polite and want to work, do our best. like to work to like lower the temperature. But this is exactly what they said. Like, we have to stop calling everyone Hitler. Not only is that like kind of a, you know, not only do you reduce like the terminology there, right, and the crimes against humanity by like calling everything Hitler, you know, everything's Hitler, but like you also reduce people to inhuman, and you dehumanize them, and that's exactly what's going on. You're exactly right. Yeah. Well, my producers love Star Wars and say he's more machine than man now. You pulled an Obi-Wan Kenobi quote. It was perfect about Gavin Newsom. This is what Obi-Wan Kenobi said about Darth Vader. Yeah. So, so you're right. Although we don't liken Gavin Newsom to Darth Vader. We liken him to a Batman villain. I think he looks a lot. He feels a lot more like a Batman villain. Thank you, Nicole. Again,
thank you, Benny.
It is so encouraging to talk with you. Everybody follow Nicole. Everybody follow Nicole here, and you'll be able to catch us on stage in the biggest political rally California has ever seen.
Let's do it.
And we will launching in 2026. We're gonna go save California. And Godspeed. It's going to be exciting to work with you, Nicole.
Thanks, Benny. Can't wait.